let's see if that works. Let's see if we are up and running. Back a little bit so you can see my working surface. Put on my very high-tech protective gear here. Done. And find my favorite tools. Copper bopper. Day sight. Got to get rid of all this outer stuff. Let's start doing it. Oh, nice big flake. Look at that. Sharp too. Set that aside for later. Okay. Let's see. So I'm just working down the edge, trying to get rid of all that right angle, because that's kind of unworkable. So by flipping it over and hitting from opposite sides, I get that wavy edge, and all of that's workable if I keep flipping it over and hit the low spots. Okay. So that edge is started. Now you see this one is still very much a right angle, and that's a problem. So find a low spot, support it on my leg, make a flake, and that creates another low spot if I flip it over. So I flip it over, hit it, take off a big flake, and that creates a low spot. Flip it over, hit it, that creates a low spot. So this is how you get into the start working a bigger piece. Always on the edges and always hitting on a low spot on that edge. And always trying to get rid of these right angles. So this whole, if I look at this, I can already see this is my long dimension. So I'm starting to think, okay, I'm going to be working from this edge and this edge mostly, trying to preserve this length. The bottom here, what we're going to think of as the bottom, has a 90-degree angle here. That's not good. I've got to get rid of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this spot, which is kind of a low spot, to make a flake down from the bottom. You see that? That's gone. So now I'm going to flip it over, because now this is a low spot where I can hit this way. And it took off that piece. So now I have a low spot here. So you see how this works? I'm going from side to side. I'm going to be making us a big stone tool, maybe something like this. A big stone knife blade. This piece of rock isn't quite as big, but something like that. And that's the general process. Working with my largest tools first. This is called a bopper or a billet. Flip it over, find the low spot, and there we go. Hit another big flake off. I'll show you that just so you get a feel for what's coming off here. So I hit right here, boom, and it knocked that off. So this is the last of my right angle area. So I will once again flip it over because now that is my low spot. And maybe one more time. There we go. So now this whole edge that used to be a right angle from this direction is now this wavy sloped edge. Are you asking where I got the rock? I don't speak Spanish, but I know a couple of words there. I ordered this online. This is called Dacite. I order it from various places online. It's a lot of people ask if it's obsidian. It's not. It's very similar. That's obsidian. Okay. This is called chert. That's a gray chert. And what I'm working with tonight, which is the same as this, is dacite. Dacite. Periodically I go through with a braider, knock off the sharp edges. Dacite. D-A-C-I-T-E. Dacite. Dacite. Thank you, Louise. That's what I thought the question was, but I wasn't positive. Oh, I got some good flakes down here. This is one of the flakes I knocked off. I'm going to keep it because this could quite easily be turned into an arrowhead. I'm just trying to find you one right here. So this big flake could quite easily be turned into a functional arrowhead without too much work. So I keep these. But this is what we're working with. See, this side still has a lot of this stuff on it. That's called cortex. That's where the rock was exposed to the elements, and it's been all weathered. Eventually, I'll need to get rid of all of that. But for the time being, I'm just going to take off some more big flakes. Oh! Talk about a big flake. It broke in two, but let me put it back together for you. It's kind of handy if you can see the process. So I hit right here. Boom. And that did this. Two flakes, well, it's one that broke into two. And they're both pretty big and flat, so I'll keep those for making arrowheads some other time. That was a good flake. Always nice when that happens. Okay, where else? Maybe we will turn it around. Take a couple off of here. So, I always have to hit on a low spot. So see right here? Low spot. And that should take a flake off from down here. So let's try it. I don't know where my pencil is. I've got a white grease pencil, but I'll try to mark it with this so you can see, because I can probably write on the cortex. So I'm going to hit right there and hopefully take a flake like that. So coming down here and around here. Hopefully. That's the plan. Got some of it. It went off this way. So let me try that again. There we go. Boom. Right where I showed you. And see, I got rid of all that cortex too. All that's got to go eventually. I won't try to get it all at once, but I'll work my way toward it. There's a nice long flake. Look at that. And these are super sharp, super sharp. You use those as tools themselves. If you need a slicing tool, the flakes that come off this are all you need. It's kind of neat. So even the waste products are tools. Yeah, that's exactly right, Luis. Many of our human and pre-human ancestors use tools like these. Homo erectus was using something like this, Acheulean hand axes. I've got replicas of Oldowan tools that I've made, but I don't have them out here. I should bring those out so when that subject comes up, I can show those as well. But you're absolutely right. I'm just going to trim this edge a little bit in preparation for taking a hit under here. I'm going to try for something in there. I got some of it, but it kind of ended quickly. Let's try again. There we go. That's better. Trim off the really thin stuff. Take a look at what I've got going on here. So this is pretty much starting to look like a hand axe. Not a very pretty one, but definitely to the point where you could do some big chopping with it if you wanted to. All right, more flakes from this side. Good. Break out the abrader. How's everyone doing tonight? Look at that. Nice thin flake. Very sharp, very sharp. Here's one of my tests. Here, nice thick piece of leather. I've already started a cut in this one, but let me see if do the other side. Look at that. Sharp. Sharp. Very sharp. All right. Oh yeah, that flake went almost all the way across. It started here, went, 3/4 of the way across. It's always nice. Same with that. Look at that. Look at that. Oh yeah. Very nice thin flake for making an arrowhead later. I mean, it's so thin already that really all we need to do is pressure flake it to the right shape. You know, it's kind of like a shortcut. I wouldn't say cheating, but it's a shortcut. And it's also a way to preserve some, you know, kind of expensive materials. My soda froze. I'm gonna put it here right by the heater. It started off pretty cold in here today. It's warming up, but I set it over there, not next to the heater, and it froze. Okay. Slow down here for a minute. Take a look at what I got going on. Got some extra mass up here. So it almost looks like it's a little heavy, a little curved, whereas this is going to be a tip. Low spot in here, which is way off from center. So I'll probably take some hits from there to take off flakes in here. And this, the length is, the best length is in here. And there's no way I need something as wide as this. So I'll probably start working on getting rid of this as I make it thinner. Hey, how are you doing in the Ukraine? Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Okay, what about that extra mass up there? I'm going to switch to a slightly smaller tool so I don't overpower it at the tip where there's a little less material and a harder hit might be too much and break the whole thing. I'm just backing off a little bit. This is my larger one and this is the smaller one. And of course, I've got many sizes. I've got all of these as well, but I've really grown to appreciate these ones with the short handles. I think you get better control with the ones with the short handles, so I tend to favor these now. Taking shape. This was just a big chunk of rock. Oh yeah, your English is fine. Yeah, no worries. No worries at all. Now it's really looking like a hand axe. It could be an Australopithecine out there on the savannah stealing a carcass from a large predator. Nice roll of flakes there. Boom, 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 boom. I'll braid. And then I'm going to go for the spots in between the flakes where it left these little triangles. Here, 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 here. I can get smaller flakes, so I'll get a slightly smaller tool. Let's see, I need to take up a little bit of this. These are just little trimming flakes to set myself up to take a much bigger hit on this side. Kiev. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That's very frightening stuff. And I'm sorry for what your country is going through, and I hope things work out well in the end, and that you and your loved ones are safe. little bit thick up here toward the tip. So I'm going to try and hit right here on this low spot. Take a little bit of that off. Here we go. So what I did, it was this hit right here. This flake right here. Unfortunately, it broke into a million pieces, so I couldn't pick it up to show it to you. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes they stick together and sometimes they break. You never really know. That was a good one. Nice thinning flake. Hit here, and it took that off right there. And as you can see, it got more than halfway across. That's good, because that means if I do one from this side, I'll have effectively thinned the entire face. If I'm not able to get the flakes to the middle, it's going to leave this big fat ridge in between, and I'll never really get it thin. That's not what I want. Getting it thin is kind of the name of the game. It's very important. Perfect. So the last one I did that I just held up was here, and it got halfway across. I just did one here. So now this is all the same level. So I'm effectively thinning this side. That's what I want to happen. That was less good. This one, I didn't have enough force, and it created this line. That's called a hinge fracture. And it's a problem, because now if I hit from this way again, the flake will stop right there and break right there again, and it'll just get deeper and uglier. So I need to find ways to get rid of this line, but without going this way. So I have to hit from this way, or because it's near the bottom, I could probably come from this way a little bit too. So let's see if I can mitigate some of the problem that just developed. So I'm trimming the bottom so that I can get closer to there, and also so that I have a sloped low point to hit in that direction. I need to do a little bit more, I think. All right, that's probably enough. I've got a low point here, which is opposite where I want to remove that high spot. I need to make sure it's really well supported, because if you hit on the ends, it sends a shock wave through it, and that shock wave can make it break quite easily. So I'm going to bundle it up in this other piece of leather. First, I want to make sure I know where I'm trying to hit, right there. I'm going to bundle it up, kind of make a little burrito out of it, just to provide a little dampener and support so that shock wave doesn't ripple through it and cause it to break. I mean, it might anyway, but this should help. All right, moment of truth. Let's see how I did. So here's that line that I was trying to get rid of. I got rid of some of it. My flake went right to here. I got rid of about almost half of it. So now I could try from over here too. I'm not sure that'll work, but yeah, I'll try a little hit. Let's see. First, I'm going to trim it. abrade it. This is just part of a grinding wheel. All right, still a bit of an issue. I got rid of some of it over here, but I still got this chunk in here. I'll probably have to come from this side. This material is called dacite. Dacite. Okay. Trimming up the opposite edge in preparation for a hit that comes all the way across. So I need to hit here to take a flake off from down below, hopefully to get across here and remove some of this line that is likely to cause problems going forward. Okay, let's see what we can do. Almost all the way. So that flake there got almost all the way to that side. So it's getting better. I haven't totally gotten rid of it, but now what remains is much more shallow, and which means it will cause me much less of a problem. So while visually it's not entirely gone, I'm in much better position than I was a few minutes ago. Okay. Let's see, let's get a small one. Work on this tip a little bit. That's better. Let's see, that needs to go up. Still got a little bit of cortex right there. Hey, Devin. Trim this edge a little bit using a much smaller one. Just small little taps to take off tiny flakes along the edge. Let's see if I can do something useful right there. Yep. Okay. Okay, good. We'll make this base a little narrower. If this is a knife, then this is kind of wide down here. Often they taper a little so that your hand can hold it, if it ends up being that long. But otherwise, it needs to get mounted into something. If you're not just going to wrap it with leather or rawhide. So I think the base might be a little wide, so I'm going to trim that up a little bit. That's a little better. I think I could go a little bit more. Okay, making good progress here. Tissue. It is very cold in here today. Okay, I haven't given you a look in a little while. Oh, it's looked like it has a bit of a curve to it, doesn't it? So, what am I going to do about that? I'm going to take a little off the tip, and then I'm going to work on some good flakes in here, and that should help thin that section. Also, take some big flakes from down here, get rid of some of the mass lower down. And start to unbend it. It's not really bent, of course, just looks like it is. Those are helpful. A few minutes ago, this was just a big old chunk of rock. Getting somewhere. Sound effects help. Trust me. You can't get a feel for it unless you do the sound effects. It's coming. We have definitely started a caveman knife. As promised. It's looking a lot less curved from the side. That's good. Much less. Huh, it didn't break. Let's grind that again. Okay. Oh. Okay, we've got some evening out to do. That's okay. What? That spot did not want to break. Makes me nervous, I'll tell you. You don't want to hit in the same spot too many times. It's not going to go well. It's just not going to go well. This is kind of a speed napping for me. I don't normally move this quickly. I don't know. Just the mood I'm in, I think. Ooh, I got some uglies. Let's see if I can fix them. Like that. Ugh. I got this high spot. But hopefully, because that high spot comes right to the edge, I can trim right up to it, land a very carefully aimed blow, and take off that big chunk of, there's a big chunk between two very deep flakes. And unfortunately, it's right in the middle. So, could be a little risky. Ha ha! I got it. I got it. It's looking more like a knife all the time. Tell me that's not a caveman knife. You can't tell me it's not a caveman knife. You can't. You could try, but it won't do any good. You could try to tell me it's not a caveman knife. I mean, go ahead, try. But I'm just gonna be like, no, it is. It's a caveman knife. Okay, some careful hits up here at the tip. That's a good one. That's a good one. I don't think I'll take any more right there. About right there. No. Aha, that was good. And that was good. All good. Knife, 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 knife. I mean, it could be mounted in a big old antler handle like that. Caveman knife. I can hear you chanting out there. Caveman knife. Caveman knife. Nice. Nice. Let's see. Got to do something about that area right there. It's a little high. A little thick. Just working out my order of operations here. Yeah, perfect. Sometimes holding it freehand allows you to get access to something you couldn't quite reach otherwise. Hey, Lawrence, how are you? Let's see. Some little trimming flakes. Same over here, some trimming flakes. It's very small. Let's see. Just trying to work out if this edge is going to be strong enough for me to take a good flake. That should make it stronger. Didn't go as deep as I would have liked. Ah, but that one did. I'm glad you're doing well. Working on kind of a slapdash caveman knife here. Just thought I'd kind of get out here and go for it. Talk a little less than I usually do. So here's a good spot. Didn't go quite as deep as I would have liked. It's a little thick in there, but I should be able to work on it as I continue. A little thick. Oh! I broke it! I broke it! You know what I was doing? I was hitting on the end. I was hitting on the end. Ah! Oh, folks. It was going so well. I was just taking small hits right on the end. That's like a lesson I have to learn every week. Don't do that, especially when it gets thin like this. Ah! What a bummer! What a bummer! Well, I can make something a lot shorter out of that. What a huge bummer. I've got to learn to stop hitting the ends. Especially when it gets thin. That's my number one reason for breaking. And it's, I'll tell you, it's avoidable. I do not have to do that. And yet, I still do it. Oh. You know, it's so humbling because I was becoming so proud of myself for how far I'd gotten in that amount of time. Just goes to show you. So, just starting to work this into a point. Could still be a usable something for sure. I've just got to make a rule, like don't just stay away from the end. I did sort of do a pseudo flute the other day, but prior to making that hit, I wrapped it up. I wrapped it up and made sure it was really well supported, and then if there was a shock wave, that it wouldn't ripple through the piece. And that worked. So I've got to, follow a protocol like that and not just take random hits at the end. But you can see the broken piece. I'm already getting it down to something pointy. This could be a short knife. Yeah, a short caveman knife. Oh, education can come at a cost. Sometimes it's costly. Some lessons need to be learned, I don't know, many times, apparently. And that's one of them for me. Oh my goodness, you'd think I'd know better by now. Can't tell you how many I've broken that way. Quite a few, my friends, quite a few. Back to something pointy almost. Trying to salvage still a pretty good size piece. Nothing like what I had going, but still a usable something. That was so avoidable. Oh my goodness. I was just getting kind of like fiddly and fussy, and decided I would try to take a little piece off the base, hitting toward the tip, and that was it. That was the end of it. Hey, could still be a knife-like object. I mean, it's bigger than Utzi's knife. That thing was tiny. I did a recreation of that. Very small. Very small. So this would definitely be something I want to put into a handle, And that way you've got something to grab onto and you can make best use of most of that edge. bust out the pressure flaker. See if we can get rid of some of the thickness here. A couple of flakes up there at the top. Yeah, those are getting more than halfway across. I'm happy with that. See if I can get the tip here. Hey, Dumas. What's up? Oh, you mean the stream is smooth? Is that what you're saying? Well, what was a nice big knife is now a much smaller one. That's great news, Dumas. The other day, I switched over to. I was streaming from my phone, and one of the other viewers, Cho, suggested that was probably causing some latency, even though my upload speed is pretty good. So I switched over to using a laptop with the OBS software, and I guess it's helped out a lot. So big additional thank you to Cho for that very practical advice. I never occurred to me that the phone itself would be the problem. Sure seems like it was. Just not enough processing power, probably. Oh, you were there. Okay. Well, sorry, I can't keep track of who's on these streams, but I'm glad you've noticed and that it still seems decent or better. Oops. Oh, I kind of overshot that one. I took a flake off the opposite edge. Let's see. Came all the way, because that happens sometimes. It doesn't happen often to me, but sometimes you can get an overshot flake, and it comes from this side, and it actually breaks out some of the opposite. That's too bad. Tell you what, I'll just make this more of a straight backed blade. Take the curve out of this side. Like so. Start to make this. Yeah, I was doing a nice big long knife blade, and it was like this, and I very stupidly, it was thinner than this, not quite as long as this, and I very stupidly decided to take a random hit down at the base without like adequate thought or preparation, and the shockwave just went through, broke it in half. It wasn't even a hard hit, not at all. That's a lesson that I seem to need to learn repeatedly. Don't take hits from the base unless you're really well prepared, and you have to. I did it well the other day to get myself out of a problem, but I wrapped the whole thing up like in a big burrito in a piece of leather to absorb any of the shock, and that worked beautifully. So yeah, so that's yeah, accidents happen, and you know, some lessons just need to be learned the hard way more than once. Apparently. That one stinks because it was totally avoidable. Some of them aren't avoidable. That one, totally avoidable. I was just kind of, I was moving quickly this evening. I was just kind of, I don't know, felt like it. And not thinking quite enough. Nice, some good pressure flakes off of this side. Chipping stone is like the lottery. This time it was tough luck. Yeah. There is definitely an element of a big, pretty big, well, a non-insignificant element of chance in flint knapping. All the variables are not in your control. That one felt like I took a chance when I didn't need to, but that's okay. See what I can do with what remains. It's not terrible. Not terrible. Maybe that will be the time when I finally learn the lesson to not hit the end if I don't have to. That would be nice. Yeah. Arrowhead, big enough for sure for an arrowhead. I'm sort of moving in the small knife direction. But yeah, totally could have made an arrowhead out of it. No, except I just broke it again. Oh my goodness. Somebody's rushing today, I think. And that someone is me. Put it over in the broken points pile, which is a pretty big pile. Big enough that I don't want to show you. All right. Well, I think that might be a sign that I should just back off for the day. Still haven't glued this up. It's just about ready for it. I think what I want to do is grind this down just a little from the surface and down here just a little, so that when I wrap it with sinew, it's not, the sinew isn't sticking up high above the surface of the rest of the handle. But after that, I think this thing is ready to get some pitch glue and some sinew and maybe just some final, just a few touch-up flakes here and there. Pretty close, pretty close. Really close. I'll probably just, I mean, you could certainly do that with stone tools. I don't know. Let's see what it's like. The antler is pretty hard. Take the blade out. Maybe see if I've got a slightly sharper one. Is this sharp? No, I didn't really finish that edge. Ooh, how about that? Yeah, I mean, I'm already getting that line in there pretty nicely. Go a little further down than that. Let's see, how about right there? I wasn't really intending to do this all with primitive tools, though. I guess I'm sort of demonstrating you can. Absolutely you can. Good night. I'll probably be wrapping it up pretty soon too, having broken most of my efforts. Just getting a start on a little bit of this notching for the sinew. Not absolutely necessary, but it'll keep it from sliding, keep it from interfering with my grip. So, not a bad idea. Yeah. Actually, this semi-serrated Levallois type flake is actually doing quite a good job at scoring the antler. Stone tools are effective. They're just a little slower than what we're used to. Not always, but often a little slower. Yeah, so scoring that, probably bring this entire face down, this entire face down. Hey, dog soldier. I'm probably wrapping up pretty soon. I did a little speed napping. Started off really well, and then I broke it. But I'm just contemplating this piece that I've been working on for, I don't know, a week or so now. Almost ready to haft it. Whoops, that's not straight. Almost ready to haft this bad boy. Pretty happy with this so far. This is a white-tailed deer antler Georgetown chert blade that I made over the course of several streams. I'm just going to bring this area down. I'll probably use the stationary belt sander just real quickly. Bring that down like a 1/16 of an inch, so that when I wrap it with sinew, that's sort of flush and it has a place to stop, at least in that direction. Yeah, I'm getting real close on that. A little pitch glue, a little sinew, or artificial sinew. I haven't decided. Probably use the real stuff. And that'll be good to go. Oh man, I'm excited about that. I'm excited to use it. You know, get out there and do some cutting tasks with this thing. I think that's going to be fun. Well, maybe just a little bit more cutting. This is not going to be very exciting to watch. Just establish my bottom line. Totally viable tool. Just like a Levallois style flake. Came off well. I shaped it a little bit, but you see it's got that kind of classic slight curve that a Levallois type of tool has often. Yeah. Pretty good, pretty good. Well, I appreciate everybody who's logged in. I hope you don't mind the rather reckless approach that I used this evening. I was just feeling, I don't know, sometimes I just want to get out here and smash rock, you know. I don't want to be like meticulous and super careful. There's something cathartic about just knocking off flakes, and I got into a nice flow there for a while. But ultimately got cocky, hit the end of the piece, which I know I shouldn't do when it's that thin. I know it. Shouldn't do it. And it was all downhill from there. So, do as I say and not as I do, for sure. Especially on that. the other day, I mean, I did successfully take some big flakes off the bottom of this thing, as you can see right here. But I wrapped it up in leather, and I really supported it well. And then I did my hit. Today I was just being casual. I just had it sitting here and went doot, doot, doot. It wasn't even a hard hit, and I just broke it. So let that be a repeated lesson to me. Well, I appreciate everybody signing in and for this rather haphazard, reckless flint napping session. I still had fun. Hopefully I learned something. Hopefully you did too. And I'll be back on here, I'm sure, in a day or two, or something like that. I've been out here pretty regularly, even though I don't have a fixed schedule yet. But I see 1,800 people at least checked in briefly. That's amazing. That's awesome. And I've still got, 9 who are hanging on to the bitter end. And I very much appreciate you. So stay tuned. That long form video, I'm telling you, it is nearly done. Sometimes the routine kills your brain. Sometimes I'm kind of hyper today, and it was going really well. And I was talking, definitely as I'm speaking, I'm not paying as much attention, but I'm getting better doing all these lives. I'm definitely getting better at napping while talking. And for me, at least, that's a plus. That way I can build my teaching skills as I'm practicing. So I'm sort of learning more than one thing at one time. But you folks are awesome. I want you to know that. I hope you get out there and make something in the next day or 2 or 3, whatever it is. And I will see you again very soon, my friends. And take care of yourselves. Take care of others until I see you again very soon. All right, later.